Okay, now another little interesting device is what we call the bend, and essentially a bend basically is changing the pitch of the string. So if we had our third finger anchored on the third string in the 7th fret, that is a D note, and if I was to pluck that string and then push the string up towards the ceiling, and it changes the pitch of the note. So what I'm doing is I'm bending or changing the pitch of that note from a D, I'm pushing it up to sound like the E. Now a good way to practice this would be to play the E note, get used to the sound of that E, and then practice bending up to it. If you bend too far, it can be done, but you really need to know what you're doing, otherwise it doesn't sound good. It sounds out of tune. Or if you don't bend far enough, same thing. So make sure that you're bending to pitch. And again, the best way to tackle that and to get used to it is to just do it. Practice that note. Try and sort of sing it in your head, and then bend up to the note and see if you can hold it. Okay, now a hard thing to do until you're used to it is actually bending to a note, holding the pitch and putting vibrato on it. You'll hear that in blues and rock a lot, especially 60s, 70s rock. But you'll find that when you do the bend, as you go to do vibrato, you tend to want to let go of the pitch, try to hang on to it. To get vibrato on the bend. Okay, so a very common bend from the minor pentatonic scale is the minor third. Now I'll show you where the minor third is. There's 3 places in that particular pattern that we've talked about where it is. The minor third is here on the 6th string, that's a C, so it's on the 6th string on the 8th fret under your little finger. It's also here on the 3rd string on the 5th fret under your 1st finger, and it's also here on the 1st string in the 8th fret under your little finger. Now because it's a minor third basically means that it's the minor third note of the particular scale. So in this case, because we're using an A scale, this note would be a C. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend the C to a C sharp. Now I'm only bending 1 fret. So instead of going too far with it, I'm trying to play that note by bending. It's too far. Okay, so it's a minor third to a major third. If you listen to any blues music, you'll sooner or later you'll hear that bend. Now I can also put that bend in here. I can also put it in up here. Notice what I'm doing is when I bend from the minor third to the major third, really all I'm doing is I'm bending from a C to a C sharp, then I'm coming back to the A note. Because if the chord behind me that's being played is an A, which it should be, what I want to do is come back to that A sound. It's sort of like asking a question or making a statement, and then instead of ending a sentence with a the or an and, you're making a statement and then you're coming back to a word that fits with a full stop. So I'm putting a full stop there in my phrase. Yep. And the way I'm ending that phrase or closing that phrase off, if you like, is coming back to the A. The reason I'm coming back to the A is because we're playing over an A chord, and the A is the root note, so come back to your root note and close the phrase. Close the phrase on the C by coming back to the A. Close it up here by coming back to the A. And then you'll find if you open it and close it like that, you can get away with a fair bit of stuff in between, provided you open it and close it. So open it, close it. Don't try and play all these notes, it's too much. You just keep it, especially when if you're just starting out, keep it simple and concentrate more on opening and closing your phrase rather than sort of making it sound too flash and fancy. The flash and fancy will come, but practice opening and close it. The reason I stress that is because if you do that enough times, you'll find that becomes automatic and you can play all your other stuff in between, but still open and close it at the right time, which is what you want. If you play a whole heap of stuff, I see guys doing this, probably myself guilty sometimes of doing it, where you play too many notes. And you've got to remember that when you're playing to people that are listening to you play, you're basically telling a story with what you're doing. And if I was to tell you a story and I spoke at 100 mile an hour talking about all the kind of things, all the different subjects and everything else, there's too many words there for people to sort of take that in. So I'm not saying you can't use a lot of notes, but it's probably a more important skill at this stage to open and close your phrasing. I'll reiterate what I'm saying there. When I'm saying open and closing your phrasing, I'm saying open a lick that you're playing, or a phrase that you're playing, and by starting on perhaps a root note, play something in the middle, and then close it on the root note again. Now, there's other notes you can close it on, but start with the root note and get that right. And of course, depending on what key you're in, if we're in the key of C, then the same thing applies. It's just a matter of memorising where your root notes are. So there's my C root, there's my C root there, there's my C root there. In the same place, different key of course, but visually in the same place in the scale. There's my minor third, and minor third. So if we're in the key of C, you're still opening and closing. Open and close it. Now I know that sounds bluesy, but it doesn't matter. If you're playing country, you still want to open and close it. If you're playing rock, if you're playing any kind of music, you've still got to open and close your phrases. So if I knew, for instance, on a C7th chord, that my chord tones were C, E, G, B flat, just those ones there. There's more, but let's just start with those. Okay, so I know that they're my basic chord tones, and then I know I have the minor pentatonic scale I can add to that. I'm thinking chord tone. Okay, so it's just a simple way. That's not a red hot lick, but I'm demonstrating there opening and closing. So open your phrase and close it.